Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. My name is Gabe.
I'm Juju.
I'm Jasmine.
I'm Ryan.
And
Good
this
talk.
is Tins and Tales. Tins and Tales is a book club where we vote in a book of the month. Alongside reading the book, we also vote in a tinned fish or seafood to eat with it.
And today's tin for this month is Snow Crab by Cole's Seafood, and it is wild caught. The ingredients contain snow crab, water, salt, citric acid, and I'm going to assume this is ascorbic acid and not ascorbic acid. There's a C in there. Product of Chile.
Incredible.
I wonder what it's made out of.
I think it's mackerel.
Might be ice. I don't know.
Whoa! In front of Gabe?
Please.
I've never seen that man move so fast.
The book of the month this month is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig.
Featuring rice.
Featuring rice.
He also read the book, and he loves it.
So, should we try some fish?
Rice? No.
I unfortunately cannot try the tin because I'm
Gabe's
in college.
Last episode, Gabe and I had tried the tin in person. This episode, I do have the tin. Gabe is at college, so he is unable to try it this time.
Unfortunately.
Gabe, we'll give it to you in spirit.
I'm a dumbass. So I decided I would make a dip out of the crab. And I was like, well, I'm going to make the dip, but I'm also going to set some aside just to try it by itself, just to give it like a bit of a fairer rating. And then I opened the can and then I put everything in the dip and mixed it in. And then I was like, ooh. So we have dip. It's kind of probably not as appetizing on camera, but it is made of cream cheese, garlic and herb Boursin cheese, or Boursin? Fucking fancy spreadable cheese, whatever. Crab, green onions, garlic powder, a little bit of Old Bay, and some lime juice.
I'll be pairing it. I have a couple different options. I took Jasmine's suggestion throughout the month, and I finally gathered some stuff this time. I have melted butter, cucumbers, and spicy mayo. So I'll be trying a combination of that.
You're so hot for the spicy mayo. Oh my god.
And I brought...
Gabe just had chicken and rice.
Gabe. Open wide.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Of course it's instinctual.
Are we ready for first tastings?
Yes.
Bottoms up. Pretty good dip.
Interesting on its own. It's good.
One thing I would like to mention, every other video, while we give our rating for the book that we've read, we're also going to do the rating at the end for the choice of fish. So you'll hear both of the ratings, and maybe there's like a correlation between the two. Correlation equals causation? No, it doesn't. I learned that in college because I'm in college, guys.
Oh, really?
I'm in debt.
Good.
You like it?
Mm-hmm. Juju, how would you describe your crab?
On its own, I think it's because it's not like in any sort of flavoring. Like at first, I don't know why, but I thought there was going to be more flavor to it. It's good, but I think it's definitely one of those things that you could definitely add things to. And I think it's supposed to be intended like that. Like you can have it on its own, but still pair it with stuff. It's good though. Trying it with the melted butter is pretty good. Makes it nice and buttery. I'm going to try it with the spicy mayo.
Well, I'm always picky about stuff that I make, so I'm just trying to give it a bit.
That's fair. You got time. You got the course of the episode to decide.
We got this tin at World Market because Cole's Seafood was out of stock of their own product. But World Market came through. World Market even had it on sale. And you know what? It delivered in 2 days, which is pretty crazy, actually.
We're not sponsored, but if they want to sponsor us, that could be a possibility.
Hey, Cole Market.
I forgot how spicy the spicy mayo is.
Whoa, wait, dude, I think it's spicy, dude.
Whoa, really?
Oh, really? Holy crap.
Good with the spicy mayo, though. I put it on top of the cucumber and then put some spicy mayo. It's almost like a deconstructed roll.
Like I said.
Oh, yeah.
True. It was a good suggestion.
Oh, imagine it with avocado.
Oh, true. I should have got avocado.
Fucking loser.
And right.
I'm staring at avocados right now. How does he make you feel?
Yeah, you're not fucking eating them.
Neither are you.
That's true.
Non-avocado haver.
You have cucumber?
Yes. No.
I was going to say, what?
Like,
she's a dirty liar. I know what we have in the fridge. So, talk about reading and books.
Continue introducing the book of the month that we've read.
Yeah.
Between life and death, there is a library. Up until now, Nora Seed's life has been full of misery and regret. She feels she has let everybody down, including herself. But things are about to change. When she finds herself in the Midnight Library, she has a chance to make things right. The books in the library enable Nora to live as if she had done things differently. Each one contains a different life, a possible world in which she made different choices that played out in an infinite number of ways, affecting everyone she knew as well as many people she never met. With the help of an old friend, she can now undo every decision she regrets as she tries to work out her perfect life. But things aren't always what she imagined they'd be, and soon her choices place the library and herself in extreme danger. Before time runs out, she must answer the ultimate question: what is the best way to live?
And before we get into this, I would like to do a disclaimer that there is mention of suicidal topics, and depression, etc. So just be wary to the viewers out there.
Viewer discretion is advised.
What kind of viewers do you think would be interested in this book?
Depressed people.
Real.
As sad as it sounds, yeah, I feel like people who are at the point of life where they don't know what to do or they have regrets. So maybe like this book can help. And I think like this could be considered a fantasy too.
People who are into philosophical topics and fiction, existentialism themes, fans of Bo Burnham.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good category.
If you like to find discomfort and comfort in familiarity regarding mental health struggles.
True, mental health's a big one in this.
Y'all know what's best for you though, so we gave you the warning.
Viewer discretion is advised. So as always, as the moderator, these questions are based off different topics of the book. So the first one we're going to start off is the writing style. First question: did you find the author's writing style easy or hard to read?
I would say it was pretty easy to read. I didn't really struggle with anything, and anything that happened to be in between the lines was pretty easy to pick up on as well.
I would second that. Like the between the line stuff is pretty apparent as you start reading the book, and once you figure out the style of it, it's pretty easy to follow. It's one of those books where you'd almost have to I wouldn't say finish it to understand it, but you understand why they chose the writing style they did as you read it.
Yeah, Rice was just going behind us.
He went, and then there was a bonk on metal from the chair.
Yeah, I think the writing style was pretty simple to...
I will fucking destroy your blood.
Bro put his whole claw in my fucking muscle. Anyway, yeah, I think the writing style was simple to read. That's all I wanted to say, Rice. Jesus.
He just wanted to put his input.
Yeah, he wanted to say something. He was like, Gabe or Ryan, go first. I'm going first.
I go first. I'd say the author's writing style was very easy to read. I've had a very difficult time paying attention to a book. I feel like this one was fairly easy. I liked it. I actually finished reading, so it's a good for me. It's a Gabe-approved book. Approved. Since we talked about what we did like, were there something that you guys disliked about the author's writing style?
Nothing that I could think of outright, other than there were some chapters where, as events were unfolding, sometimes it was just a little too point and blank, straightforward almost. It was this happened, I say this, then that happened. Yes. Okay. But it wasn't throughout the whole book. It wasn't a huge deal. Those were just the parts where I was like, give me a little more.
Yeah, kind of same. I mean, I didn't really dislike it. There were just parts where it's they would kind of introduce something and then that's all it was. It almost seemed like it was going to expand on it. And then it was oh, nope, that's all it was.
Yeah, I think same. I do think that to an extent was probably the point of it, like you were saying, because, Nora's whole thing was she couldn't know where she would end up, what the outcomes were of whatever choice she changed, stuff like that. So the writing style kind of mimics that idea, we can't know everything about that world we're choosing, I suppose. So
I didn't dislike anything. I liked it. It was easy to read. And it could have been more descriptive, but I feel like that simplicity was good for me personally. It was also just another way that I could finish it faster. I liked it. There was no bad things about the author's writing style at all. So now that we've spoken about the pros and cons of the writing style, do you think the author's writing style was suitable for this theme of the book? Do you believe that it was effectively written?
I would say so. Yeah, because it wasn't too detailed about the struggles that she was going through, but it also didn't beat around the bush either. Even if most of it was straightforward, it delivered on what they were saying, even though there was some working up to it.
Similar take. I thought it was very effectively written for what it was trying to get across. It did it in a way where it was still had like that transitional feeling, and it still explored the themes. There was still like that movement throughout the book that the book is like trying to do. Yeah, I thought it was really effectively written. I really liked the way that it was trying to explore itself. So
I agree with what everyone else has been saying. I don't know. It just made me like think about a lot afterwards, I guess. Like it really puts you in that perspective anyway. If it's written simply enough that you can understand the basic philosophies of what's going on, then I think it's doing a good job in general because it is talking about such massive concepts. It touches on quantum physics and stuff like that, but it's breaking it down and putting it in this little tiny version of what it actually is in a way we can understand it. So, yeah.
Period.
Slay!
Yeah, I think I'd agree with Ryan on his last statement. Since I go for simplicity on books, like I mentioned before, it was detailed. I think it would have taken me longer to understand, harder to finish reading. So because it was simple enough for me to read and understand it, I actually think it was suitable, especially like the type of topics that they talk about throughout the book. Not only is it just for like scientific, but it's also like philosophy, and like there's also some parts where it's like you can tell that it wasn't a part of the story. Like I think there was like a part where there was like a lyrics of something. You can tell that it was a lyric. I like that. So on to the next set of questions. These questions are more targeted of the general theme and plot. So the first one is, what were the main themes or messages from the book?
Well, obviously the main one is struggling with mental health and how to cope with it, and the feeling of hopelessness when you feel like you've hit a dead end. I mean, when you're in that state and you feel like you've hit that dead end, there's just like no other way of like looking out from it. So I feel like this book's message did a pretty good job on showing like there's no correct way to live or incorrect way to live. It's just how you choose to do it and how you choose to look at it.
Jasmine had said a good portion of them, continuing off of the last statement. One of the biggest takeaways, and I wouldn't say it's the biggest because there's lots to take away, and I think that's actually the point of it. Everybody kind of takes something different from it, which is really nice, kind of the way she did from each life that she lived. One of the biggest messages is just kind of like there's no correct answer, no incorrect answer. And there's not so much a designated place for you as much as there is you make your own place and you can find it in anywhere, but that doesn't mean that it's guaranteed either. And I just really like the themes of existentialism in this. Aside from mental health and existentialism and the quantum physics and the fantasy, like one of the biggest takeaways is like it's very individualized, which is very nice.
Yeah, I agree with what y'all are saying. There was also like the family theme that was running through it as well, because she had that deep relationship with her brother, and like she kept thinking his life was bad because of her, even though in certain lives it literally wasn't even affected by her. It was just different choices that he made for himself. And like same thing with her parents, like her dad still made bad choices, even though he was given the perfect daughter, or in the other life where he just actually like died and, you know, happened anyway. I think like one of the main messages that I took away from it was just to kind of appreciate in the now, not necessarily like, oh, appreciate what you have right now. Like that's just, I don't know. That message specifically feels a little condescending, but like just the gentle version of appreciate the now, because it took her however many lives she tried. I don't think there was a specific number to just figure out that that's what she needed. Like she could have all the perfect settings, but it doesn't matter. It's her mindset that is what's making her life good. Like she was seeking out such a perfect life, but she couldn't find it because her mindset wasn't changing the whole time. She still felt either like she was an imposter, like she was stealing someone else's life, or she just wasn't happy because, you know, it wasn't falling into what she wanted specifically. Her mindset was still the same. So something like that.
I agree with everybody. Obviously, there is a ongoing theme, and I think I like to add on to just like an overall awareness of mental health, especially depression. Even with the given different lives that he would go through, he would always end up finding a prescription of a depressant. Even with having a good life or having a different life or a better life, regardless, she still struggled mentally. And, you know, it's not something that just goes away. It doesn't go away. It always sticks with you unless you do something about it or change your perspective on life. I like that the author still implemented that you don't choose to be depressed. It's just there. It never really goes away. On to the next question. How do you see these themes and main message come up in the book? Could you maybe provide an example of a moment in the book that makes this awareness?
Well, there was a couple piggybacking off what you said. No matter what life she was in, she was still struggling. Even like no matter how successful she was, there was always something there. And a couple of examples of that was like when she was that famous Olympic swimmer, and it was leading up to her doing that speech. There was like mentions of her having this incident. They beat around the bush talking about it, but like you can kind of gather that like there was some like kind of mental break that she had from what you would assume would be from all the pressure that she was undergoing from like working up to being an Olympic swimmer and being so successful. A similar situation happened with her brother overdosed or like just drank too much, and then she did something to herself probably following those events and stuff. But also in her lyrics and songs you can kind of catch a glimpse of like what she's feeling, what's going through her mind, and even like on her Instagram posts when she's like posting these like poems and such, it's just there, and it's proving that like you can live through the regret that you had and still there would be a regret within following something that you used to regret. There was a better way to put that. I don't know how to.
No, I get what you're saying.
But I think it's a good way to show that like you don't have to have like one set goal, or you don't have to be set on one regret for your entire life, or like a multitude of regrets, because you can always adjust your life as needed, and it's not going to have to be a set thing when you make those adjustments, because you can adjust your adjustments and just live what you can live.
Piggybacking off of what has already been said, one of the things that I really liked how they did in this book that kind of came up was it almost felt like the first half of the book, she was exploring these lives, and like regret was such a theme in this book. And it felt like at first she was like, oh, let me just correct my regrets. But at some point it became more of just trying out for the fun of it after she discovered the quantum physics of it. And then it became more about, you know, what do I actually want to live? There was this transition between let me fix my regrets, but I still want to die, to I want to live a life, but every life I try doesn't feel authentic. To the point where she realizes that just living is the life that she wants to live, regardless of what the conditions are, because she can change that at any point. It was the mindset that had to be changed, kind of like Ryan said. I think one of the best examples in this book was when she had like the really normal life where it was like she was a mother and she was married to Ash, I believe it was. And she was trying so hard to hold on to it to the point where she's like, well, don't have any doubts. And she still felt like an imposter, but simultaneously still wanted that life. But she could feel herself occasionally shifting in between. Some people feel that it's a very real feeling, even as it is outside of the context of the Midnight Library. And I just thought that was really interesting how they touched base on that, because she was trying so hard not to change anything, and yet she didn't feel satisfied at the same time. And it's such like a realistic feeling of being content with what you have, but also knowing that there's always the possibility of change. And then in her case, it was a lot more literal with the Midnight Library, but I just thought that was a really good way to represent not only her trying out the multiple lives, but her like having this obtained happiness, but also still like wondering in the back of her mind if she's ever going to lose it and go back to the library, which she did eventually. And then soon realizing that like it didn't even matter, because all she really wanted to do in the end was just live. While she wasn't happy with her old life, she knew that she could eventually change it. Whereas the life in this example was very fixed. It was very like decided for her, to the point where she felt like she was wearing somebody else's skin despite it being her own version of herself. So I thought that was a really interesting way that they kind of did it, not only throughout the book, but also in that specific example.
Juju actually just like kind of made me think, really connected to what you said in general, but just like the theme of depression itself, the way she's trying out lives and stuff like that, and feeling like an imposter, or feeling like she needs to keep going to try out these other perfect scenarios where she's doing everything right, but it's still just not sticking. That itself is just kind of like a parallel of depression, because you could be doing every single thing right. You could be changing what you do. You could be fit. You could be working out every single day, eating right, doing all the right things, having the right family, like being the right daughter or whatever. And at the end of the day, you're still taking antidepressants. You're still having anxiety attacks before public events, public meetings, concerts, whatever. You're still going through these other struggles. So it's just really mimicking the theme of depression, because that's just what depression does. Like if you have it, the only way to fix it is to change your mindset. You get all these like little tools to do that beforehand, like you get medication and stuff like that. You get the mindfulness tricks that therapists give you, or you get therapy and stuff like that. And those are just tools. You have to actually change your mindset yourself in order to like it, to get out of like this depression that she's in. The way it's set up now is like doing that as well. But yeah.
One thing I really liked about throughout the book is during her Olympic life, where where she did what her father wished her to be, like the perfect swimmer, Olympic champion, all that. As Jasmine mentioned, like even after succeeding a successful life as an Olympian and satisfying her father still somehow managed to fuck it up in a way, between the relationship of her and her mother. He cheated on his wife, and in that life, her mother still passed away. I'm assuming that she passed away over like alcohol abuse that she did after finding out that she was cheated on. But anyways, what I'm getting to is that even with the perfect life, even with satisfying others, she, in the beginning, she would be in lives of people that she just wanted to satisfy. It wasn't for herself. I think this is another good reason why I like this book so much, is that I relate to that. I relate to a lot of topics, but this one specifically, where I live my life satisfying others and not just thinking about myself. So what actually goes through the first two lives, for example, the first one was with the boyfriend, Dan. That was the very first life that she picked, a happily married life, owning a pub in the country. At first it was good, and then it slowly got into like that Dan in reality cheated on her. And her, she was like, whoa, what the hell? And, even after she made the sacrifices herself to achieve what Dan wanted, at the end, he was unfaithful. And it was just like that whole relationship was just based off just like, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but it's just like she agreed to that life because it's what Dan wanted. In the next life, the next major life where she was an Olympic swimmer, she did that obviously because she wanted to swim, but she didn't want to be like that Olympic swimmer. It was her dad that sort of wanted that. So she did that to please him. And again, there was a negative outcome. Dad was unfaithful. And I mean, yeah, she still maintained a good relationship with her brother, but it was just awkward. Like, that's not my brother. This is weird. And I feel like there were points of my life too where I only lived to satisfy others and only like lived up to their dreams of my life and not thinking about myself. That's just one topic that I feel more connected to while reading this. Before I get into this next question, I think we should do a little context of this one. Within the Midnight Library, when Nora realizes where she is, she's met with this librarian named Miss Elm. Obviously, they're in a library and she's the librarian, and she sort of is the one that explains what she's in. She's not dead. She's not alive. She's in between. Throughout the story, we are also met with another person who was in a similar situation, and then he describes his Midnight Library as a video store. His Miss Elm is, I believe, the uncle. This Midnight Library, I'm just going to call it the in-between. It's not just the library for everybody. It's different. So in this next question, if you find yourself in your own Midnight Library, who would your Miss Elm be, and what would your setting look like?
I think my Mrs. Elm would be my charter school teacher, Mrs. M, or Mr. P's. One of those two. My library. Who would it be?
An alien game.
You're on the fucking
Alien isolation.
Every time you go into a new hiding space, you go into a new life.
You God.
that saving thing where you have to like
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess it doesn't have to be like a place you've been to, huh?
Yeah, it
No,
could just be
it's-
something that she spent a lot of time in the library, so it was like a significant place for her. But it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be either a place you've been or
Aldi's. No, I'm kidding.
Wegmans.
Oh God, no! Retail nightmare.
Mr. P's is your
Oh God,
It's like what cut you need. So what cut do you want?
no! Probably GameStop or something. I don't know.
Each different life of yours is like a different video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
I see that.
Shout out, Mrs. M.
since I actually suggested this question, I had like been kind of thinking about it, and I had been back and forth on a couple answers. I would say like my Mrs. Elm would be. There's 3 people that come to mind. Well, actually 4.
1 to 2. Actually, there's 3 people.
actually
No, there's 4.
Is there a fifth?
There's not a 5th.
actually there is.
6 or 7.
There's not 5. There's 10.
There's actually 10. I would probably
Damn.
say one could be my mom, maybe my grandmother, probably more my mother. My brother's also probably somebody kind of just like more confidant wise. And then the other option could possibly be one of my professors from college. She was one of my psych professors, but I did like an independent study with her and she kind of helped me get through my last semester. So she'd probably be one. I would say that mine could be a library as well, because I do remember spending a lot of time in the library, especially in like middle school and high school. But I would probably say, just because I do feel very like at peace, like in art studios, mine would probably be an art studio. My books would probably be either like paintings or like drawings, and then like that would be like my way of transporting.
You're so majestic.
You're so majestic.
You're so majestic.
You're so majestic.
Fuck you. You're majestic.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. It's just your
I think my Mrs. Elm would be, I don't know, Jimmy's pretty good. Mrs. Elm for me.
That's true. I was thinking that.
I don't know. He's just a cool dude. So, Jimmy, if you ever see this, you would be my Mrs. Elm.
It's
But
one of his professors.
yeah, he's one of my college professors currently and my advisor. He's pretty chill. He's done a lot for me, so I could see him being that. And if not him, Vaughn comes to mind because Vaughn's just always kind of been there. Maybe like some kind of elementary teacher, like the first favorite teacher I can think of. It was an English teacher. Obviously, it's always English teachers. Her name was Mrs. Drislane. Mrs. Drislane, if you ever see this, shout out. I don't know. She's just like Mrs. Elm, I guess. But she's like a 6th grade English teacher. So maybe her. My library, if it isn't already a library, because it's kind of who I am. I don't know. Google Docs tab.
You're in your computer.
Yeah, each
God, he's got like different tabs within the fucking doc.
yeah, each tab within the dog and like each story is quite
Aggressively typing
Yeah.
and get into each one.
I don't know what else I spend a lot of time on other than that. I read, I do art.
I was thinking like
fucking
driving.
D&D
for some
binder.
reason, like driving and then like each
Good
road.
God. If my fucking afterlife was a car, I wouldn't even try, bro. I would be done. No.
Now library does come
Crashes.
first, but I like the second option might be
left right game.
Each turn I take is another life. Each new exit. I don't know. If it's not one of those, I don't know what else I do, so.
I actually have 3 people in mind. The first one, obviously, is my godfather. I'm really close to my godfather, and he's like been there.
Oh, Gabe's godfather!
Shout out to my godfather.
Felipe!
I'm very close to him, and I love him dearly. If it isn't him, then I'd say my college professor from last year, Dr. H. She was actually my anthropology professor. It was an elective that I had to do, and at first I didn't like it, but when I met her, she was actually so cool. Since she was an anthropologist, I feel like she was more understanding and more engaging with her students, and I think that's what I loved about her. Like, up to that point, I didn't think I liked any of my professors. They were just all shitty. But she was the one that I was actually excited to go to class to. I think I did one of my, while I was going through a program, I asked her for a recommendation letter, and she did all 3, and I was like, damn, I love this professor. And I think my third would have to be, I think, my Spanish teacher from high school, Miss Loomis. Like I said with my other professors, she was just so more understanding and so chill. Most of the memorable moments I had in high school was with Miss Loomis, so I think that would be my top 3. As for my library setting, I feel like it would be a diner, because I love diners. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see it.
If it's not Movie Star Planet, yeah.
Shout
Mine's
out
an
to
Olive
Mr. Planet.
Garden. I'm changing it to Olive Garden. No, I'm kidding.
I feel like it would be a diner, specifically the one, I'm not going to dox ourselves, but especially the one in the town.
Yes.
That one diner.
Yes.
Yes!
I love
Fish
that.
fry.
Diner. Yeah, the diner would be my library, and like each life would be an item on a menu.
It's just like an endless fucking menu.
Yeah, it's like you're going to New York City all
It's
over.
a la carte on a menu.
Awesome. I really like that. I really like those questions. All right. So on to the next set of questions, which are just general book questions. Obviously, we always have to hit this one. Who was your favorite character and why? Oh, hi, Rice.
Who's your favorite character, Rice?
Yeah, who is your fit? No, he just wants crab.
It's okay. I'm gonna keep him here. I mean, Nora is up there, but I also really like her brother. He was chill. I mean, in some lives he wasn't, but like you could tell he was also always going through his own thing and that he's just trying to follow other people's molds as well. I mean, in one life he fucking overdosed, you know. He seems to be sharing some similar struggles with Nora just from like different perspectives. I really liked her brother.
Nora's also up there, obviously. I really liked Mrs. Elm. I mean, I know that like her whole point was to be like this mentor character, but like I just felt like even throughout each life she was going through, like some of her monologues were really helpful, but also just very well detailed. So I'd probably say Mrs. Elm.
I'm gonna agree with Juju. That was my answer. Like, obviously Nora, but like Mrs. Elm as well, because not only did she remind me of those quirky English teachers that we all know and love, and we low-key were all just kind of talking about for our own Mrs. Elms, but she just had a really good personality. Like, she would be super mystical and stuff, but her mysticalness was like,
Whimsy.
yeah, her whimsy was just sarcasm. She was being joking about it and stuff like that, while also being like this motherly figure for Nora. And I just like the fact that she was the first person there. Like, I don't know, just the fact that she is a character and she's the first person that comes up in Nora's library rather than Joe or her mom or someone else like that. Like, that itself is a cool concept. I just like the fact that like everyone has that one teacher that they've thought of for years, characters, obviously, we just said, but like, it's just cool that she was the one that had that influence on Nora so much so that she shows up in her own little afterlife.
Not to like add on to your thing, but I feel like she had such an influence on Nora because it seems like she was the first person in Nora's life to remind her that she has opportunities and other options other than what people expect of her. She was trying to broaden her horizon from a young age.
Yeah.
I would also have to say that Miss Elm was my favorite character. Because, like, there were moments where she was strict and she was just like, Nora, you can't do this. And she was sort of there to push her and to, like, almost have Nora think more deeply about her life. Because, like, at first, in the beginning, Nora, we're introduced where she wakes up in this midnight library. She has this constant saying that she doesn't want to live, that she wants to die, that she doesn't want to live this life anymore. There's no point, etc. And then Miss Elm, as much as Nora says it, Miss Elm is just the one that sort of often changes the subject or like gives her another opportunity or gives her another perspective, especially like moments too of like the parallel that she would use with the chessboard. And that was like one of my favorite moments, which I will talk about later in future questions. But yeah, Miss Elm has to be my favorite, adding to what Ryan said, because we are introduced to Miss Elm in the beginning of the book. It's that one moment too where it gives the reader an idea of how much Miss Elm has impacted Nora's life to the point where she's in that like in between. And I love that. It really tells that this person may not been in her life like her parents or her brother did, but like moments that she would share with Nora, that one moment impacted her so much that she was just a constant thing. You know, she was just that important. And I feel like we've had those people in our lives, obviously like teachers, like what Ryan said. So yeah, Miss Elm has to be the top. On to the next question. Do you have a favorite scene? If so, what is it? And can you explain why it is your favorite?
Somebody else want to start before me so I could think about that.
This is hard. There's a lot of scenes I like in this book. But I guess the first one that comes to mind is maybe like the concert scene, because I think that's the moment when it felt less like she was just going from regret to regret. I wouldn't say it's like the turning point, but there was something about the way that she just had like this. She didn't know what she was doing and she kind of had to improvise a bit, and she did it in a way where it actually made her feel good. And there was just something about the way that scene was written that I really liked. There's a lot of moments like that in the book, like I said, like a lot of really good scenes. That's one that stands out to me too.
I mean, it's really hard for me to narrow one down. Like each one had its own like truth and message to it. Like I don't know if I have a favorite scene, honestly. Like I really liked them all as a collective because each one had their own impact and message to be like shared.
So since we're having a difficult time choosing our favorite scene, if you still have a favorite scene, you can go ahead and still share. But an additional one that sort of relates to it, which of Nora's lives was the most interesting to you and what was more fitting for Nora?
An answer for both of that. I was going to come up with my answer. Brother, he only wants attention when we're doing things. Anyway, my answer was going to be my favorite life of hers was her rock star life, because I like that one most. I thought about it a lot afterwards, probably partially because of the poetry and like the songs, partially because I was like tying it to my own memory of this past Sleep Token concert that we saw. So part of it, I was just thinking of, man, I wonder what Vessel was thinking when he was singing like Caramel or something like that to a bunch of fans that were doing the same exact shit he didn't want to be done. That was my favorite life of hers. My favorite scene was when she was with the polar bear, and that was actually another good life of hers because I just knew half of that stuff, which was really cool.
Nerd.
Yeah, I did a whole PowerPoint on it, so all of you should know that stuff too. For context, I did a PowerPoint on glaciers and the biology of glaciers. I made all these fools listen to me preach about it for an hour because I needed to give a presentation on it that I never ended up presenting to the class because she didn't want us to. She said it was an option. So y'all know about it, at least. Anyway, the polar bear scene within that, she was supposed to stay behind, and her job was a glaciologist, Jesus Christ, and her buddies, they were all doing like their own little tests on the glaciers and shit, and she was supposed to just yell out if she saw a polar bear, and then if the polar bear came at her, she had to like shoot at it. The polar bear was the turning point, in my opinion, because he actually realized she wanted to live at that point. And within that same like general life, she found out about like quantum physics and all that stuff. The polar bear scene was just really good because she was just like accepting. She felt the rush, and the rush is something that convinced her that she knew she wanted to live in the end. Like that was something that she needed to feel and actually look in the eyes itself to know that she wanted to live, and then coming to that realization is what made her change her mindset over time. Because, you know, if nothing's working, I can't fit into any of these lives, even though I want to live now, it's not working. And the last little problem of that equation is her mindset.
Man, this book is just so, I don't know. I feel like we all feel more connected to this book because we sort of relate to everything. And I'm just like, I need another one. Give me a sequel. As I mentioned from the previous question, a scene that I like specifically, it's actually two scenes. It's actually like a scene and then it talks about it right after. When Miss Elm and Nora are at the Midnight Library and they're playing chess. And Miss Elm, even though we know this isn't the Miss Elm, like we're not sure exactly what she is, but she's just the librarian. She reflects and starts to like remember with Nora of like, remember when we used to play chess at midnight and you would always, you know, beat me and all that. And they sort of get into talking about each chess piece, which keep in mind, I don't know how to play chess. I don't know what those pieces mean or whatever. But in this part of the book, she sort of explains one of the pieces, the pawn, and she sort of talks about it. And the way that she talks about it sort of puts it in a way where she's almost talking about Nora. Yeah, so here it is where they're in the scene. It starts, if you were a pawn, maybe we all are, then you should remember that a pawn is not the most magical piece of all. It might look small and ordinary, but it isn't, because a pawn is never just a pawn. A pawn is a queen in waiting. All you need to do is find a way to keep moving forward, one square after another, and you can get to the other side and unlock all kinds of power. I think that itself isn't only targeted for Nora, but for the reader, because we're all pawns in our own life. We don't have order as much as a king does or a queen. We don't have that much power. But like a pawn, you have to be strategic of what to do. And, you know, one thing is just to move forward. And I think in life, that's what we really just have to do is move forward. We can't go backwards. We can't go to the side. It's just moving up a square. It's hard to explain how I truly love that specific quote, but this is the one that I like sort of had to put the book down and be like, damn, I'm going to get this tattoo. The whole
fucking paragraph, like the fucking chapter. Doesn't a pawn also have more movement opportunities too than like other? I don't know shit about chess.
I feel like the pawn only can move once, but it's always moving forward.
The other thing about the pawn is I believe it's also one of the chess pieces that can become another chess piece depending on when it hits a certain part of the board. So I think that relates to part of the quote.
I love that. If I knew chess, I would be like fucking licking this book. I don't know. That quote itself, it really hit. In the next scene, Miss Elms then starts talking about a point of life where Nora, like where she almost drowned, I think. I mean, like the memory itself isn't pleasant, but the way that they reminiscing the memory, the Midnight Library itself started to change its setting. I was just like, whoa, I don't think there was a situation where that happened. This was like the first time we've actually seen the library change.
Yeah.
And I think it's mostly because of Nora. The mental moment was so significant to her that she literally changed the Midnight Library. Like she's obviously the source, but because that event specifically was so eventful, I don't know if she had like the Grey's Anatomy moment, Alice Gray, where she just gave up swimming and she just wanted to let go. I don't know. Did she give up or did she actually try to swim? Don't remember.
It's kind of both, because in one life, she tried to continue it even after the Olympic swimming life. But then when she goes back to her original life, they don't really mention her picking up swimming again.
No, I mean like in the actual event where she was in the river, she was caught in the current.
Oh, whether she swam or not?
Yeah, I think wasn't it like she was just doing that to impress her brother or whatever, and she just ended up in a bad situation?
It was been a while, but like I thought she was just having an Alice Gray moment where like Alice Gray, I don't know, I'm going off a tangent. You can edit this out. I'm sorry, Ryan, but Alice Gray, she was like drowning in really, really cold water and she started to swim, but then she just remembered that she had like a really fucked up life and she just gave up and she just let herself drown. I thought that was like a moment that Nora said. But anyways, just that moment where the Midnight Library changes around her, that moment itself was so fucking cool.
Right.
Because that was the first time we've seen the library change its surroundings. Okay, so the next question. Was there a satisfying or disappointing part of the story? If so, why? This
portion of the book was both satisfying and disappointing. I'm a sucker for domesticity and like simplicity and shit and like just happy family because I don't know. When she was settling into the life with her marriage with Ash and she had a daughter and like she had a pretty decent career. Like she was into philosophy and she was writing her own book. Like it seemed like not consistent with what she wanted, but she seemed content for longer than she was for the rest of the book, even though she was like, I guess in like certain terms more successful in other lives than she was in this one, but she was like successful in happiness, because wasn't this the one life where she didn't have, like, there wasn't mention of her having antidepressants?
I think so, yeah.
So I was like, oh, did we find a sweet spot? And like me and Ryan talked about this before too. It would have been disappointing if she had settled for that life, just for the fact that it would have kind of left like a bitter message, like, oh, if you settle down and have a family, that's the meaning of life, you know?
Especially coming from a male author, like that
Yeah.
was a big concern of mine, that it would end in a plot where she was finding happiness from being married and having a child. Like I was like, please do not make her whole life based off of having kids.
Yeah, that would have been the disappointment, but like I wasn't fully disappointed. It was like a bittersweet disappointment when she was pulled away from that life, but it was satisfying also in the way where like she was also realizing the impact she had on other people's lives, because in that life, the kid that she used to give piano lessons to in her root life, he was getting in trouble a lot. Like he didn't really have direction. He was getting in trouble with the police. Not saying that him not having piano lessons from her caused his issues with the police, but he also didn't have that preoccupation, like growing up a little bit, something else to focus on instead of hanging out with the bad crowd, because in her root life, with him doing piano lessons, he was staying away from a bad crowd. So that was one of the examples in that life that kind of made her realize the effect she was having on other people, rather than focusing on people that also had an effect on her life. There was like a nice little cycle going on there. I thought that was satisfying. But also I was like, man, she really was happy in this life. I mean, she was not happy, but like she was content. Obviously she wasn't like fully happy if she like faded back out and had to fight like her doubts and disappointments, but it still lasted long enough. Like I just wanted her to be happy. I was like yearning for her happiness throughout the whole book, and like we finally like got an extended bit of it in that one life. And then she got, yeah, that's my tangent.
Partially agree with Jasmine on that, like kind of piggybacking off of that. I like that section of the book because the part where she gets sucked out, like I wouldn't say it's satisfying, but it creates this moment where it's like for the first time she had a life she actually wanted to stay in. And when she gets back to the library, she kind of like freaks out at first because she knew it was inevitable at some point because of her doubts in the previous life with like Ash and her daughter. But just seeing that was, I wouldn't say satisfying, but it was just, you finally see this like almost shift compared to the beginning of the book. Something that I thought was very satisfying about the ending is that they wrote out what happens when she woke up, because I'm not going to lie, I was kind of worried they were never going to touch base on that. And then like they're just going to be like, oh, the library and like she's alive, and then like not talk about what happens afterwards.
Yes.
Leave it open-ended enough to kind of be like, oh, well, now she can kind of create her own path. I wish they would have expanded a little bit more on what happens, but maybe that's like a good cutoff point. But I'm really glad that they actually like went back to her original life to actually lay out what would have happened. Because same as Jasmine, I was like, I really want to know whether she makes it or whether she finds the happiness that she's been looking for, or at least get the mindset that will help her continue on if she does go back to her original life. So yeah, kind of like a two-parter on my answer. So
Period.
slay.
I agree with what the other two have said. The ending was very satisfying for me because I could kind of see build up, and seeing the plot like wrap up all of its little bows is really nice to watch. I just liked the small things that just kind of set off that perfect life. Like I just thought that was nice to include, because it's like, it's not going to be some big thing that's going to make you realize like, oh, life is worth living. Like it's not going to be something like, yeah, I have a husband waiting for me in my other life. Like I know he's there. It's not that. It was something like what Jasmine said. There was a kid who needed her for piano lessons. And even the old man, her neighbor, he finally agreed to be put in a nursing home, even though he was so adamant on not being put in a nursing home. And like, he wasn't even involved with her neighbor. He wasn't like friendly with him at all. She just knew that he was there. Like she might have had a few conversations with him here and there, but that was it. And this little thing just completely changed her mindset in the end enough to yoink her from that life. it was satisfying to me because it just mimicked real life. And I just think that was nice. It wasn't trying to glamorize anything. It wasn't trying to glamorize depression. Definitely not. And it wasn't trying to like glamorize solutions either, because she's still like nothing solved, obviously. Her mindset is different, yeah, but she has a ways to go. She's like in her early 30s. Like she still has the rest of her life to figure out and whatnot. Just the mimicking real life was nice to me.
We'll add one minor disappointment, not so minor. The cat always ending up dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Like, no!
I want the cat to
No! I mean, I get it that he would always die happy with her, but like, no!
Animals and dying in general just makes me sad.
I know. I'm like, fuck.
Can y'all
Also,
not?
cool name for the cat. I thought that was a really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, when the book mostly started off like with her finding out her cat died, I was like, well, that would be my final reason. I wouldn't let it continue from there.
He didn't.
See you tomorrow, and if I don't, I'll still see you tomorrow because I'm gonna kill myself.
I'd say I was pretty satisfied. I think this was one of my most favorite books so far that I've read. I think that was the only reason why I was able to read it in a week, was because I enjoyed it so much. Because we started off with like, obviously Nora, like not wanting to live anymore. In the middle, she's trying out different lives and trying to see if she could find happiness in any of them. And it just turns out at the end, she doesn't really need to pick a life that makes her happy. She just needs to stay in her root one and just change her perspective on things. And now that she's realized that, you know, she's changed people. Before, she didn't think that she was as important and wasn't an effect in other people's life. When she learns that she actually does, she wants to continue that. And I feel like that's just so nice. And at the end, when she meets up with Miss Elm and like they have this conversation, right? And Miss Elm starts to see like, oh, I have regrets. I have let people down. In that moment, Nora becomes Miss Elm from the Midnight Library and be like, hey, yeah, we're going to have regrets, but that's the beauty in things. And I'm like, oh my God, the student becomes the teacher. It's like that moment. I was just like, man, that's actually very satisfying, because like in the beginning, it's Miss Elm who comforts Nora. And then at the end, it's Nora who comforts Miss Elm. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. And I just like having the idea of knowing that Nora still seeks out Miss Elm even after that. I just find that very satisfying. Last set of questions is just generally talking about the cover of the book. So if you saw this at a library or a bookstore, would you pick it up based off the cover alone?
Yes. Yeah.
Probably.
It was satisfactory to me.
The cover.
I especially like, I don't know if it was intended, it probably is, but like right here in the bottom, there's the pawn, and then there's
Yep.
Nora. English
Ooh.
major, what is that called when objects are represented as something?
Symbolism.
Yes! Yes!
Yes. He knew.
Thank you, English major.
Yeah.
I would have picked it up instantly. Even though I don't read, I would have picked it up.
Yeah, I would have picked it up too. I think the colors really fit too, because they're both opposite colors as well. Like they're, what is that term? Either art man or art woman. What's the term when one color is on the other side of the color wheel?
Polar.
Contrasting colors.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the contrasting colors, they're meant to emphasize like the other colors. So like orange and blue are two contrasting colors. So just the fact that both of those are there, I just think that's kind of symbolic of, you can have like two things at once. Like you could have the background thing, which is like the blue, like the depression, and you can also be happy at the same time. Like you can have both of those things going on at once, or you could have depression and you could still have like a good life, like stuff like that. They should be contradicting things, but they still work and they still emphasize each other. So yes, book cover. I like it.
Do you think the cover does its duty in relating the story?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I think so.
She's literally traveling through different windows of her life. Yeah, if you notice in some of it, as she's passing through, she's not fully completing what she's doing.
Good observation.
All right. So now that we've come towards the end of the questions, we're going to give our rating of the book and the tin. I feel like we should do the tin first. People who've eaten the tin, what would you rate it?
I always go for versatility. I don't have a base to go off of because I'm a fucking chud. But
Oh, how about this? What would you rate it texture-wise?
texture? Honestly, I have no complaints with the texture. I fucking love crab. I like when stuff is like flaky. 10 out of 10. Texture is a huge thing for me. And that passed. Crab is also really good and versatile. You can do a lot with it. And I mean, I didn't think it was too bad. I liked it enough. So I'll give it like an 8.5 out of 10 overall.
I did have it both on its own and paired with stuff. You know, I'm a fan of crab. It's good. It probably wouldn't be my top pick though. It's one of those flavors where like it on its own, like it's okay. You know, it tastes like crab enough that I can eat it, but I was just kind of eating it on its own and I was like, yeah, I really think it tastes better when it's paired with stuff, and like not crazy about the taste, but it's not bad. With paired with stuff, it's a little bit higher. I would say generally maybe like a 6.5 out of 10.
She didn't get the experience of picking the crab legs open and getting it all over the place, so that's why.
She wasn't ripping it.
She wasn't like
shredding meat all over
banging
the
it
floor.
against the table, trying to pry the shell,
Finding
Trying to
pieces of
break it
crab
open
meat
with
all
my
over the
fingers.
carpet floor.
whacking it on surface. All she has to do is twist and pull.
Like that. Didn't work. Well, I didn't try that at first. I tried it after Gabe told me, but
We should have made her like gnaw on the arm, and that
Well, we
would've
should
been
have just watched her. We should have like stopped eating and watched her do it.
Oh, no,
and
no
wait
pressure
for her
on
to
me or
figure it
anything.
out. Just
My
in
dad
silence. We just
experience.
sit there and watch her do it.
like
That's a
yeah,
unique
why
way.
have dinner entertainment when you can watch me fucking sit there and struggle?
exactly. Well, watch Juju be a fucking idiot.
Meanwhile, sushi and rice are having the time of their lives because crab pieces are being flung.
Going
to the floor.
flying all over the place.
Poor Juju. Don't worry, Juju. I got you.
Thanks, Gabe. Next time we have crab legs, I'll be like, hey, Gabe, show me again how to do it.
Open
And then
this
I'll
for me, Gabe, so they don't.
I
make fun
will.
of me later.
I will.
Do
do
not
that
let
for
her
my
near
bestie.
crawfish.
I think I'm gonna have to give it like a 7. I don't have a base for it. I thought Jasmine's dip was pretty good though, but I'm keeping in mind Juju's rating overall. So I guess I'm assuming what I would think based off of Juju's assumption or what she rated it, because usually our opinions are pretty similar. And I'm lowering my initial ranking of like an 8 because I like Jasmine's dip to a 7. Thought it was good though.
He's legally obligated to say this for record. No.
She's holding me at gunpoint.
What are those contracts called where it's like you can't say anything or
NDAs.
yeah.
Ryan has hated my cooking this whole time.
As if.
Because it's crab and I love crab, I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, Gabe!
Yeah, Gabe.
It tasted so good, you guys. I ate the whole fucking thing.
I bet you did.
Even ate the
Can and all.
I bet you
The
did.
black's gone.
Yeah.
The
everything-
cardboard is soaking into stomach acids right now.
Yup.
Cook that up in the crab juice. He took Jasmine's advice, put some butter and spicy mayo.
Spicy mayo and Kewpie mayo, I think, would have paired nicely too.
Yeah, all that's gonna be shitted out later.
That's incredible.
I can't wait for Gabe to take his hypothetical dump later.
So for the next rating, we will be rating the book.
Honestly, I don't have any complaints. It was really relatable. I mean, a lot of it hurt so good. Honestly, I didn't really see any flaws with it. Like, the only flaws were the character flaws, but that's reasonable,
Good.
logical. Yeah, it's what makes it good. It's kind of what drives a lot of points in the story. So, I mean, 10 out of 10. Concept is cool. Characters are cool. Impression sucks, but I love when it's portrayed correctly.
Period. We love
Period.
good representation.
Representation.
Similar to Jasmine, I really don't have any complaints about the book. I loved this book so much. I really did. Like, I read it and I finished it and I was like, God, it was just as good as when I started it. Like, I was not waiting for it to fail. That's not what I mean. But just like, what direction is it going to take? There was so much going on. I was like, is it going to be too much? Are they going to be able to wrap everything up? But yeah, no, I love the start to finish. It built itself up and it didn't insist upon itself in a way that glamorized or missed the points that it was trying to introduce. Really good portrayal of mental health. That's like one of the biggest things I liked about it. The way it was written, how it was like a mixture of like the poetry, kind of like Ryan said earlier, and like the lyrics and like the different like monologues. Yeah, I loved it. The other reason I liked it was because I don't know if you guys have read it, but there's another book called Every Day by David Leviathan. And it's kind of like the reverse plot of this, where it's like a guy who switches bodies every day and he goes by A. And it's kind of like this, but like rather than changing lives, he's
I know what
changing
you. Yeah.
it reminded me a lot of that book. And this book does what I wish that book would have done towards the end of it, which, by the way, good book. This book does better than what that book did, but similar concept, just like reverse of how they do it. But it reminded me a lot of that book when I was reading it. For me, rating wise, 10 out of 10. I loved it.
I didn't know that was a book. I watched the movie version of that.
Funny, I'd never seen the movie, but yeah, it's a book.
I'm gonna agree with everyone else. 10 out of 10. I literally do not have any problems with this. It was making me think about a lot afterwards, which I automatically think is a good thing. Like, it's high rating if a book is making you contemplate it a
And reflect.
long time afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, a lot of that was cool. I liked all the cool niche topics that Nora was interested in herself. Like, it made her a real person. Like, not only did she have, like, flaws like y'all were talking about, but she was just into like something that a real person would be into. Like, not everyone is going to be into something that's really super popular, like being a doctor or something. She was interested in swimming. She was interested in glaciology. Stuff like that is just really cool. And I just also like the fact that I knew some of the information in there. It made me feel kind of smart.
Philosophy.
Yeah, and philosophy. Like, that's another cool thing.
Getting that, like, she was into it until like it kept getting brought up, which
Yeah.
is crazy because this whole
It's
book is philosophical.
Yeah, like stuff like that. Like the poetry, obviously. I really love the poetry. I'm a huge fucking nerd of poetry. So, like, that was really helpful.
Fucking English nerd over here.
Yeah.
Shove him in a locker.
I shove you in the locker with me. I also just like some of the science behind it. The concept itself is just really cool. And it feels really realistic to me. Obviously, like, quantum physics exists and all this stuff is real to an extent, but I just think,
Science. Ooh.
like, yeah, the concept of having a midnight library in real life, like, that just sounds really refreshing to me. I don't know. I would love to experience that. I wouldn't, but would. I don't know. I feel like
the option would be nice.
yeah, like having the option to experience different lives. And there's been science that's coming out about multiple timelines and parallel universes and stuff like that. So it's probably already there and possible, and we're probably already experiencing it when we die. But the concept by itself right now is just really nice. So I don't know. Yeah, 10 out of 10. It was a really good book.
I think this is actually one of the first books that we all read together that we all rated 10 out of 10. I loved it. Like I've said before, I finished this in a week, and because it was so good and the topic, the characters, the hardships, the flaws, it was all so well scripted, well thought out that it just made me want to read more than I assigned myself. Because like I was supposed to read 40 pages every day to be able to finish this. I was reading more than 40 pages. I was wanting to know more of that shit. I love this book so much. Another reason why I like this book and we all love this book is that we've all reached that point of our lives where we are questioning, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what would my life be like if I did this differently? And because our character is in her 30s, I feel like that point of life, she's just questioning everything. What would she do differently? And I'm not saying that we're old and we're close to that age, but we're getting to that point, and
We're almost halfway there. So
yeah, we're almost halfway there. And I feel like reading
I was
this,
literally thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, when I'm 30, oh god, that's only 6 years away. Fuck, dude, this is gonna financially put me in ruins.
reading this before we reached our 30s was actually a good idea, because now that we have a different perspective on how to take life, and obviously, like, we would always have that point where we would be like, what if I did this? What if I did differently? I feel like we're going to reflect off this book and we're going to remember, like, hey, Nora also felt like this. And even though she's just a character in a book, she was written so well to the point that she could almost be any of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love it. And like Jasmine said, depression, the self-harm, all that was so written. It wasn't like glorified or anything. Obviously, it's a bad thing, and it wasn't glorified. And I love that, because usually stories are always focusing on being depressed and not just being sad. But depression isn't just being sad. It's just being unmotivated, being directionless. Like, you just live in a world, but you don't feel like you are. You're not living in it. And it's just like, man, that representation, it was just so good. And it's just so relatable. And I feel like to our audience, if you're at that point of life where you're starting to question it, if you don't think this life is worth it or worth meaning, I feel like this book, you should definitely give it a try, because it gives you that perspective of the what ifs. And it just changes your perspective. Obviously, I'm not going to fully say that it's going to change your life completely, but it's going to give you that shift where it's just like, I'm going to think about this. This is going to be engraved in my head. This is going to be my own experience, because us as humans, we evolved from experience. That's how we grow. We don't know something from being born with it. We know it from our past experience. And this book is going to be an experience that it's going to be useful within the future. And I love it. I highly recommend this book. I think we all could agree with that. 10 out of 10 for this podcast.
Good reflection, Gabe. I love my friends. I love everybody here.
So now I think we could roll for our next book. Actually, let's all roll and add it up.
Find an equal sum average.
3 of us get the same number. Let's see if it's going to be one of Ryan's books this time.
please,
Fingers crossed.
Okay, let's see.
Are you sure it's not 7?
6, 7.
Bitten and Bound by Amy Penza.
Is it one of yours, Jess?
Me? No.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it is one of mine. I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't remember what I recommended.
Fucking books not being picked, but I
there's, like-
for half of them.
There's like at least like 4 of them that I for certain remember, but there's like 2 of them where I think any of us could have suggested, so I don't remember.
What is it
Doesn't
called?
sound familiar, so I'm gonna
Bitten and Bound by Amy Penza. Maybe
Yeah,
it is
right.
Ryan's
Since-
book.
Maybe it is.
Since it's your book, you should give us the synopsis.
I don't know that it is mine, but one sec.
We're just gonna say it is, all right? Okay.
Okay, Ryan,
While I'm bringing this up, someone should roll a d4 for our tin.
let Gabe do it.
Since he's the moderator.
I got a 4.
Oh shit!
You You got a 4?
Oh shit!
Right off the bat. Okay. The summary of this. Wow.
Hang on, I do not remember what.
No way. Is it these fucking types of book talks?
I didn't suggest it.
Maybe I did. I don't know.
Maybe this is one of the random books that I selected. I don't know.
Look at the trilogy book covers. It's like a woman and then 2 men.
How about you re-roll Juju,
Yeah, let's-
and we could decide what we'll do with that one later.
It's not in the discussion chat at all. I typed it in specifically. It's in neither of our lists. It's not in your list.
Huh.
It's nowhere in the fucking
Where the
chat.
fuck did it come from? All right.
What the fuck?
It's so funny.
Okay. We got a book that seems straight off of Pornhub mixed with Wattpad.
Yeah.
Straight off of AO3.
We're gonna skip. We have preferences. We have standards.
We had lists of books and we don't know where that one came
We read books that actually had editors.
I got a 19. What
No.
book is it?
So our next book, no, hold up. I want to look it up. I'll read it for us. Gabe, why don't you roll a d20 though for us since you rolled a 4?
What fucking book is it? Don't leave us in suspense.
No, I'll explain. Just don't worry. So for our viewers, we're going to be doing this new thing with the tins where we're going to roll whatever number we get. So Gabe, what was that number? 19. So we're going to put that 19. That's a category we get for a tin. Gabe just rolled a d4, which is that thing within the category that we get. So our categories are flavor profile / intensity. We got charcuterie, pairing / usage, and origin / type. And then Gabe just rolled the one that we got, the 19, fell into the origin / type. And Gabe got a 4 in that, which is our baits off the hook. It's our wild card. So I'm making him roll a d20. It's like a wild sorcery table almost. Wild magic. If y'all know the D&D lingo. So Gabe, let us know what you got.
I rolled a 14.
Okay, a 14, which means we will do a combination within the category. We'll come up with that later. But the category options, for origin type, we got shellfish versus finfish, we got North Atlantic, and we got Iberian Peninsula. So we're going to combine either all 3 of those or 2 of them. And now I'm going to read the summary of the book. Into the Wild is the first book in the Warrior Cat series by Aaron Hunter, a fantasy novel about feral cats living in clans, following a young house cat named Rusty, who leaves his home to join the Thunder Clan, adopting the name Firepaw and discovering a world of danger, loyalty, and prophecy. It was published in 2003. It launched a bestseller franchise. It's known for, the Warrior Cats franchise, the animal-centric adventure, complex world building, and it has themes of survival, honor. I'm sure Gabe can come up with more themes for us. Yeah.
I kid you not, audience. Looking you right in the eye, audience. I've always hated reading books up until now, but this book series changed my life completely. I kid you not. This was a huge impact in my life. This is the only book, the only series I finished. I have a collection at home. If it was still good right now, the series have gone to shit. But the best book is this one, the start of the series. I kid you not. I was waiting for this moment. This is my book. This is my childhood. This is my life. And they're going to read. And they're going to understand why I am the person I am today.
We're going to make a Warrior Cats counter to see how many times Gabe mentions it.
Oh, my heart's racing. I can't tell if that's the Adderall or just me.
Well, also, I just want to point out that was Gabe's only book on the list because originally we had made the list 18 books. The 3 of us each got 6 books, and then we had a spare book that we each rolled on, and Gabe put his own input on what he wanted to see on the list. And we got Gabe's book.
Before Ryan's. That's fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
we got some random book that wasn't on any of our lists.
Gabe's one book.
Gabe's one book before we got any of Ryan's books.
We are going to be entering our 5th book
We've been doing this
before
for
Ryan
five
gets
months.
his.
5 months, and I have not gotten a single book. Damn. Yeah, I will enjoy Mr. Warrior Cat rant next season.
Oh my god. If you guys end up liking this, I'm going to add more to the series because there is so much you guys need to get into.
I guess that raises the next question: is are we just reading the first book and then just
Yep.
adding the next
I
one?
feel like when you read the first book, obviously it's going to leave you with the cliffhanger into the next part of the book, but it's a good intro of what the whole idea and the whole main story is because you guys are in for a treat.
When I was picking out books, I was originally viewing this as if I'm putting in, I don't remember if I put in any first books. I don't think I did for any series, but if I was going to, it was only going to be the first book. I don't want to just spam the whole series and then we're forced to sit through the whole series, even though like one of us might not really enjoy it. So us putting in the one book is just like our little glimpse of whether or not we want it.
12 episodes of Warrior Cats. Jesus Christ.
I'm already thinking about good questions to come up with. I'm so
There you
fucking
go.
excited. I'm going home and grabbing my series. I'm not bringing it here.
Well, I know this book is going to be easy to get a hold of. Oh my god. The last book was just such a struggle for some reason.
It was a GMA's book club pick. So Good Morning America's like recently. So
Oh, that probably explains it. Because, yeah, I had to go to 2 different libraries and check out 2 different copies to get one for Gabe and I. So,
I couldn't even get one from the fucking library. I had to buy it.
She's still on the wait list to get
Yeah.
the book in the library. We bought it for
I just took it off.
like $8 on Amazon. It was
Yeah, it was actually on sale.
Now we own the book. So I mean, worked out.
All right, so I guess that concludes our 3rd episode today. Thank you guys for watching, and y'all have a wonderful day. See you next month.